Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's March the 8th, 2023. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. I want to give a shout out to CJ for our new opening graphics. He did a nice job. No more of that little stop thing in there. We've actually got our logo in there now on a countdown. Super cool. Who is here? I want to say good morning to Rebecca, Dennis, Brian, and all the rest of you out there, no matter when or how you are listening. Are you listening live? Awesome. Are you listening later? Also awesome. Are you listening, or I should say watching now or later? Are you listening in the future at some point? Also awesome. Just thankful to have you here. How was your Tuesday? What did you do? I had a very quiet day. Oh, look, it's snowing. Remember yesterday when I said, hey, it's not snowing? Pretty much as soon as we ended the show, it started snowing. But it is definitely snowing again. It snows here every day. Every day. If you like snow, you want to buy a house? I don't know. Yesterday was kind of an odd day. I had one meeting and just talking about, I'm actually going to be teaching, it looks like I'm teaching a self-defense seminar at University of Vermont. Many of you know Raz Shen, or if we want to be really technical with his last name, Raz Shen. Raz taught at Free Training Day Northeast 2 years ago. He's been on the show, great guy. He was approached to teach a seminar. He lives in New York City. He said, hey, can you cover for me? Sure. So we had to talk about that yesterday. So that's kind of cool. That's happening just shy of a month. And other than that, I was waiting on a delivery from FedEx. One that I had to sign for, one that I couldn't get out of signing for. So it was not a terribly productive day, although there are a bunch of things that I did do while I was, basically staring at a camera display. How about you? What did you do? Good morning, Kelly. How was your Tuesday? I want to know. What else happened? Oh, yesterday on TikTok, I saw someone post a video where they said two things. One, and honestly, if it was the first one, I wouldn't have even engaged. I would have moved on. But the second one really bothered me. In this video, this woman who looks like a judoka, just the way that the dojo is behind her and the way her gi is, I'm guessing she's a judoka, said 10-year-olds earning black belts is a scam, and any school that awards them is a scam. And I went, And then in the caption, she said, if it takes you less than 10 years to earn your black belt, that is a scam. And I went, hold on now. Seriously? So I posted a comment, very friendly. Are you genuinely saying that if you attend a school that takes less than 10 years to earn your black belt, it's a scam? She did not respond to me, but she did respond to the people responding to me. Now, as you might imagine, I caught hate because it's the internet and it's full of hate. And so I kind of reposted it with my own commentary, and it's blown up. Because what did I say? I said the same thing I always say. You have no right to determine what goes on at somebody else's school. You choose what works for you at your school. But for you to say that because somebody else at a different school does it differently, they are a scam, is at best ignorant. That's the best case scenario. More likely, it comes from a place of incredible arrogance. And I'm not okay with it, and I will continue to fight against it. Good morning to you, Jenny. I woke up to a whole bunch of supportive comments. And I'll throw this out there, and maybe I'll find somebody at some point. Maybe we'll do this. I doubt they would do this, but if somebody would actually like to debate with me why we have to have minimum ages or for a certain rank, and I don't just mean at a particular school. I'm, again, not saying a certain school shouldn't have their own standards, but why any one person's opinion on what a standard should be applied to the entire martial arts industry, I will gladly debate that. And heads up, I'll tear you apart. Because that argument fails logic. But if somebody actually wanted to, I'm sure it's not going to be any of you. Good morning, Nathan. I'm sure nobody's going to choose to engage on that, because people with strong opinions rooted it in nothing but opinion on some level know that it's just rooted in opinion, and they won't step out to engage. They'll yell loudly. This is similar to the argument, well, it gives martial arts a bad name. How does it do that? Why don't you counteract it by giving martial arts a good name? Why don't you worry about what you can control, as in you, your students, your school? People don't like to hear that, though, because that requires effort. We live in a world where, sadly, so many people want everyone else to adapt to what they want so they can have the world they want without them actually working to make any change. Heads up. Arguing on social media doesn't create change. And I know, I recognize the irony of that. I argued on social media, but I don't just argue on social media. I've brought it out to the real world. I will continue to fight for this because I think it needs to happen. Jenny says, Matt is great at playing devil's advocate. Plus, he loves to argue with folks. LOL. He would do it just so you could flesh out the arguments. My arguments don't need to be fleshed out. And I don't want to argue with someone who doesn't believe it. I don't want to. This is not the kind of debate that can happen between someone who has a very strong opinion on one side, me, and someone who does not have a strong opposing view. Because I've already worked out all the logic on this. And it would be a very boring debate if someone capitulated so quickly. Dennis said, I stopped engaging with people, strangers, on social media when I finally realized my IQ was dropping every time I read their comments. Yeah, I could see that. I continue to find it interesting that regardless of the subject we are talking about, how many people are simply parroting what they have heard from others, and they do not apply any element of critical thought. And I can show examples of this in nearly every subject. And where do people get these talking points from? Because that's what they are. They get them from media. Though I would guess, if we could find a way to study this, that the more someone watches television news or consumes mainstream media overall, could be newspapers, could be online newspapers, that the less their opinions are rooted in, what's a better way to say it, the less they have critically applied thought to their beliefs. TV is really good at it's almost hypnotizing us. There's science behind that. I don't know if any of you know that. That TV can put you, the refresh rate on the screen can put you into an almost state of hypnosis where you're very suggestible. So we've got to be careful about what we watch. There are times where I'll start a new TV show that I really enjoy, and I find my mood just, I'm like, but I like the show. It is the show. There's enough drama going on in the show, and I'm feeling enough attachment to the characters that I'm getting sad. That's the end of that show. There are a bunch of shows that I've tried watching, and that's happened, and I just stopped watching them. find something else. It's part of why I go back to the same shows sometimes, because I know that they're safe for me in that way. Jenny says, ego comes into play here. Some people will dig their heels in and refuse to back down because they don't want to admit that there are other viewpoints. I agree. They don't want to be wrong. And if you are right, they can't also be right. Illogical, but that's how they think. So they are wrong. Well, there are times where two conflicting opinions cannot both be right. Now, if someone, and I've said this again many, many times, if someone says, I don't agree with awarding a black belt to a child, I support your right to that. I support your right to have a school where you don't have to award youth black belts. If you're not the owner or the instructor, I support your right to attend a school that has that as part of their standards. I fully support that. What I do not support is someone saying that is how every martial arts school should be. And if you are not that, you are wrong. Right? And that's where they're attempting to apply an objective standard to a subjective opinion. That's where I have the issue. If someone says, I believe this is the right way to do it, I believe that other schools that don't do this are missing out. I think they are, I believe that their standards are too low. I support your statement of that. But the moment someone says a kid cannot be a black belt or this is wrong, that's where I'm going to step in, because that is not a subjective statement. That is an objective statement. And you cannot apply that objectivity to a subjective subject, an opinion, a belief. Yes, Dennis. Gilmore Girls forever. My favorite show of all time. Josh says, good morning. Good morning to you, Josh. I got a box next to me. I don't know if you can see it. This arrived yesterday. We're going to do an unboxing because we've got some new apparel in the Whistlekick store. And those of you who attended Free Training Day Northeast, specifically the meet and greet, likely met Carl. Carl's from New Jersey, and we don't hold that against him. Just kidding. We don't actually hold anybody being from New Jersey against him. And he was working on some designs, and they went live. Took some time, and I wanted to show these all to you. Oh, well, we'll start with this. So if you have seen the ads or newsletter or anything we put out, Whistlekick is a sponsor of my friend Terry Dow's martial arts event this year, and this is the exclusive shirt. If you register through Whistlekick, you get this shirt for free. Yay! So there's that shirt. Jenny says, in unboxing, shoot, I was going to get little, but she can wait. What's in the box? What's in the box? Great movie. Here's the sweatshirt. Pull up there. Oh, close that comment. Dennis, I'll get yours in a moment. Hoodie. And here's the back. There we go. Top says Whistlekick, never settle. And it's this sunflower design that Carl worked really hard on. And I believe his son helped him a lot with this. Came out really good. And the inspiration from this, do you remember end of last summer, I had a couple of sunflowers on set? Remember I flipped this down and we had them right here? That was his inspiration for this. And I believe the t-shirt is the same thing. I got some colors that I don't have much in. I don't have anything in this Kelly green, and I don't think I have anything in purple right now. But purple is a color that I like. I reject the idea that colors are Gender specific. One of my best polo shirts is like a soft pink. Looks great on me. So those are live on the website right now. The only way you can get this shirt is if you sign up for the symposium, and it's not too late. The only way you can get the sunflower shirts is by buying them at whistlecake.com. And if you use the code FirstCup15, you save 15% and you make Carl happy. And like anything else that I collaborate on with someone, we split the money. So if you make a purchase, Carl gets half the profit, because that's how it should be. Dennis says, under 18 in my school, you could only earn a junior black belt. This is another way to handle this dilemma. My school, my rule, and I never disrespected other schools who had different rules. Yeah. Jenny says, purple and yellow is a great combo too. I agree. So there you go. I hope you will check these out. I know that on camera it might not show up the best, but I really like the design. I think, he worked really hard on this, and I don't know, it's just fun. And this is kind of where I think some of the designs are going to head is this in this kind of fun direction. Because let's face it, the very first Whistlecake t-shirt, gray with the logo in black. Very first Whistlecake hoodie, gray with the logo in black. I've come a long way in my design skills, but I'm not a great designer. I have ideas. Other people need to implement those ideas. So if anybody else has an idea for a shirt or something, throw it our way. I'll see what Carl does with it. Now it is time to talk about the stuff that Frank, because Frank always makes sure we have stuff to talk about. I appreciate you, Frank. Thank you for all of your work on the show. Thanks to Josh, who I think is still in the chat, for our lovely theme song. And where's my message from Frank? And thank you to Denise for the work on the audio. Boom, boom, boom. Getting there. Getting there. Sharing. Share screen. So many clicks. And there we go. We continue our observance of Women's History Month. No, not that. We'll do this one. There we go. With quotes from the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, Mary Kay Ash. My company mascot is the bumblebee. Because of its tiny wings and heavy body, aerodynamically, the bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly. Apparently, that's a myth, by the way. But the bumblebee doesn't know that, so it flies anyway. Though I do love the symbolism in that. I actually really like bumblebees. They're super fun. And I get bumblebees around here that are enormous, absolutely huge. And was it last year? Maybe the year before. No, I think it was 2 years ago, I got obsessed with petting a bumblebee. I don't know why. I just really wanted to pet a bumblebee. And I did a ton of research. And yes, they can sting. They don't generally. But, I didn't want to harass it too much. So I went out when it was kind of cool and they weren't moving too fast. And I found one today. So I've pet a bumblebee. But last year I found some that were so enormous. There was one, it was sitting on a dandelion. And I posted this on Instagram. And the whole dandelion just bent in half. It was like a hummingbird. It was such a big bee. Biggest bumblebee I've seen in my life. But what do we take from that quote, that statement? Everything that happens, that we do, is because we believe it. If you don't believe it can happen, it won't happen. And the best example of this, whenever this comes up, you've probably heard of this before, the 4-minute mile. Before it was done, it was believed that no one could run a mile in 4 minutes. And people tried and tried and tried and tried. And then one day, somebody did it. And then within a few years, dozens of people did it because they knew it was possible. And now it is, it's an amazing thing to do, but it's not only the absolute best in the world that are doing it. I've read there are high schoolers who've done it. Wow. If you believe it's at least possible, doesn't mean that you're going to do it. If I believe I can fly, song lyrics unintended, and I jump off the roof, probably not going to fly. But how many other things out there did people believe were just as impossible? What are you holding yourself back from because you believe it's impossible? I don't believe there's anything in my life I can't do. I genuinely don't. Am I going to be able to jump off the roof and fly? No. But if I wanted to fly, I could go get my pilot's license. I've actually thought about doing that, but only so I could get to a helicopter license. Flying a plane doesn't interest me. Flying a helicopter interests me. I could go wingsuiting. I'm not going to do that. I could go paragliding. Also not going to do that. I could fly ultralights, right? Like there are lots of ways I could fly, maybe not with these arms. And that's a great way to look at it. Just because I want to do something doesn't mean I can do it with what I have now. I may have to change something. I may have to adapt, grow. I may have to get help. About bumblebees, Jenny says, the furry kind, yes. Or the worker bee yellow jacket kind, no. No, I keep a clear berth from them. If they, once in a while, I get a hornet in my house because they nest in the attic. And I, once in a while, try to move them outside. I do not always try to move them outside. It depends on where they are. They generally will die. A bumblebee, if a bumblebee ended up in my house, yeah, I'm not killing them. I've never killed a bumblebee. And yes, from what I've read, they can sting. They're just very unlikely to do it. Kelly's got a long comment here. I'm not going to put it on the screen. Below middle school, I do junior black belt. If they get second degree, which means they've been a junior black belt for at least 2 years, they get a solid black belt, but they also have to show maturity in class, like being able to start classes and teach patterns. All students have to do the same testing, which is 7 to 8 hours long. Kids are expected to do the same things as adults. My youngest was 6 years old, but had started training at 22 months. I really push my kids. Awesome. And that works for you. And that's all that matters. I grew up in a school where there, historically, the time it would take you and the standards that were put in place, nobody was going to earn a black belt as a junior. I was the first one. I started at 4 and I earned my black belt at 16. There was no youth standard. I would submit that the test that I went through was if we look at it through the modern lens, was inappropriate would be considered inappropriate for a child. I do not regret a moment of it. Because I get to look back on that event and say, I made it through this. I could make it through anything. And that's what it was designed to be. I was pushed until I thought I had reached my breaking point. And then I was pushed a little bit further and a little bit further. And the entire purpose was to show me I have no line. There is no breaking point. There's always a little bit more in the tank if you want it bad enough. Next. It is far better to be exhausted from success than to be rested from failure. Oh, I like that. And how do we achieve success? By working for it. When there's something in front of us that we want, generally speaking, the things that we want most are the things that take the most to get. Right? Earn a black belt, for example. If that test at your average school was not incredibly difficult, would we want it? Would it matter? Would it be something that we coveted so much that we argued about the standards for it? Nobody argues about what a blue belt means. Think about that. And our last quote. When you come to a roadblock, take a detour. I had a roadblock thrown up at me yesterday. Something that I thought was going to happen, that I was really excited about. It seemed like everything had lined up perfectly. I was so excited. Bam, hard stop. Oof. So I got to take a detour. So I sent an email basically looking for what the detour options are. Looking at what did I miss that this roadblock was in place. I didn't expect it to happen. If we want to painfully extend the metaphor, I had to slam on my brakes. This was a whiplash-inducing roadblock. Oh, did not expect that there. There was no sign. There was just a couple Jersey barriers in the way. And that happens. And you make the best of it. And you move on. Because what else are you going to do? It's all you can do. Do what you can with what you have where you are. I hope you have a great day. I hope you'll consider grabbing a shirt or a hoodie. I hope that if you are, and I know that for a lot of people, this is, you're probably coming to All In Weekend the next weekend, but if you couldn't make that weekend work, please consider coming to Terry's Symposium. You get to train with Bill Wallace. You'll get to train with me. A bunch of people that have been on Martial Arts Radio will be there. In fact, it's almost half of the instructors who've been on Martial Arts Radio. A bunch of members of the team will be there. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's training. It's hanging out. It's a good time. And all the details for that are at whistlekick.com. I also got word from somebody yesterday. If anybody's still looking to come to All In Weekend, we have somebody who can't come and they want to sell off their ticket. So if you want to come to All In Weekend, let me know. Or if you know someone that wants to come to All In Weekend, let me know. It is not too late. I will connect you. You can work out the details. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody.